Hi there, beautiful souls watching. Thank you. I'm Gabrielle, retired medium in Germany, and I like to share some of my otherworldly experiences and insights. So, this one is about new views that I have on my NDE experience now. I told that more or less in the interview with Jeff Mara. You can look it up, it's last year somewhere. And I think around December, I had my NDE story told at Next Level Soul podcast with Alex Ferrari. And some of you are really smart or empathic, and you feel or felt that there was something missing. Yes, of course. And you were right. Because I left out some things which I wasn't sure about, or which I thought at that moment in time were not important. And yes, you put your finger exactly on that. I was asked a few questions. So, to repeat it in short form and fill in the unpacked things that I left out, I'm making this video now. I went to India, had the crazy idea of I can only find my life purpose there. That's the cradle of religion. As if it is not here, then you can go anywhere and you won't find anything. But we are prone to start searching outside. So I went to India, and I had on my list, on my bucket list for India, that I wanted to visit the ashram and the person of Sai Baba in South India. Because I also had another crazy idea. As a young person, you have different thoughts than when you're wiser and older, of course. Thank God that we're not staying the same all the time. So I had the crazy idea, if I go there, I read some books, I dreamt about him, and it was a light coming around the door into my sleeping room, and it was Sai Baba. And I thought, if I only go there and meet him, and maybe he looks at me, and boom, then I'm enlightened. It doesn't work like that. That's kind of a childish idea. But I went there with that idea, and funnily enough, I met other tourists there or seekers from all over the world in the ashram in Puttapati. And I met a woman who was traveling always after Sai Baba, because when he went to the Ellora caves and left the ashram, so she was traveling after him. And when she reached the Ellora caves, he was already gone to some other place, and that happened for quite a long time. And I really admired that woman, that she was so yeah, after whatever it was she was seeking or searching, that she for quite a long time, I think it was more than a month and a year, maybe, and she tried to meet Sai Baba and never accomplished it. So I came to the ashram of Sai Baba, and I've been there 2 days. And then he was there suddenly, and there was a meeting, and I was going to the hall where he was supposed to appear. And when he came on stage and opened his mouth and started talking in Tamil Nadu, I had a very strange experience, because suddenly, like a wall, something closed off inside of me, and I heard an inner voice telling me, "This is not your master. Your master is inside." And from that on, my dream of Sai Baba looking at me and I become enlightened was destroyed, thank God, because it was some kind of a false idea that I had. And after that, I had no more things on my bucket list, and I didn't know what to do or where to go to. So I was more or less drifting, and the drift took me to the town where the Taj Mahal is. And I was traveling for some time with two guys from Scandinavia. We had the same route. We wanted to go to Nepal, and I was meant to meet a friend from Germany there that I knew. And so that was my kind of last goal to meet somebody I know in this strange foreign country where there's different culture and everything is different than in Germany. So I was looking forward very much to meet this friend of mine. And when we were in Agra at the Taj Mahal, we went there during the day. And I again expected something miraculous or irrational. I expected at least to have some kind of a feeling at the seventh or one of the world wonders, the Taj Mahal building, which is really very beautiful. But I didn't feel anything and I was kind of disappointed. We went back to the hotel, talked to some other backpackers, and they told us you have to go there at full moon night because there's special energy, and the white marble building is reflecting the white moonlight. So the whole thing, the whole building seems like hovering spaceship above the ground. And that sounded interesting to me. So I thought, well, I'll give it a try. And you won't believe it, next night was full moon, so I decided to go there again. And someone asked me whether the whole story, going to the Taj Mahal and having this NDE experience, was even real. Yes, you can ask that because if you don't have any experience of other dimensions or otherworldly stuff, then you just can't imagine that only with your head. So, I've been there during the day and I entered the building at ground level. I didn't look up, I don't remember the gallery that's up there in the bigger dome kind space that's above the two sarcophagi that are in the room at ground level. And I was only kind of fixated onto the sarcophagi, so I didn't look up. But I remember the feeling that the ceiling was very high up, and I remember entering at ground level. And during the day, we only entered at ground level and left there because no one told us, and I wasn't even clever enough to read some kind of traveler's guide before and put all this information in my head. I just wanted to go there knowing nothing and experiencing something. So at night, we went there again. And I know it's true because I went there again with the two Scandinavian guys. We took the same rickshaw from the hotel to the Taj Mahal at 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening. And we wanted to experience the full moon night Taj Mahal experience. And we separated. They went somewhere else, and I stayed there. And I entered the same building, the Taj Mahal, that I entered during the day, one day before, at ground level. And it was the same thing like during the day, only less light because it was night. And then I suddenly saw this rectangular opening in one corner of the building, of the ground level room. And I felt attracted. And at the same time, I was afraid of that kind of dark hole in the floor. But I knew somehow inside of myself, I have to go there, no matter what. So I started to research some of the things now after I told the NDE story, because I repressed the whole story for more than 40 years and didn't quite know what to make of it until the term NDE came up and more people were talking about that. So I had the idea, wow, that was maybe some kind of NDE, although it was mostly OBE means out of body near death experience. And well, I lost the thread. I'm begging to get it back. Wait a minute, bear with me. I'm sorry. That happens quite often because my brain can't get all the information into one focus. That's really difficult. Um, okay, I researched the building, and as far as I understand it, there is really a crypt that is built below the ground level kind of showroom with two sarcophagi. And in this crypt, I called it the true chamber, there were another two sarcophagi, seemingly the real ones. And when I entered this rectangular stone entrance in the floor of the ground level showroom with the false sarcophagi, I saw a flickering light of a candle, and the staircase was kind of strange to me because it was very narrow and it was all around me like stone, and I was walking down this staircase, and I had kind of claustrophobia feelings, and this all stone around me reminded me of I don't know why, the pyramids in Egypt, although I've never been there, only astrally later. And then I saw this man, an Indian guy, sitting there with the candle, and he gave me a flower, and someone asked about the flower. That's also interesting. I never thought about the flower again. Someone asked what kind of flower it was, what was the color, and even the idea, who was that guy? You know, I've traveled through India for 7 months at that time, and especially in holy places like in Agra, in front of monuments or something like that. And even on the streets, you always find a lot of Indian people, guys and girls, old men, young girls, old women, sitting in the streets and selling flowers. And so that's kind of normal, and I was used to that. So I did not really look at the man. He, to me, was in that moment just another guy selling flowers like they do on the streets in India all the time. And now I'm starting to think, well, okay, it's one thing to sit during the day as if it's your work in the street selling flowers and getting some rupees for your flowers. But why in the world would you go there even at night? That's kind of over our working, sitting at full moon night in this crypt below the Taj Mahal and sell flowers to a tourist. I don't get that, but maybe they are thinking differently, who knows? And I don't even know whether this was a wise man or a local saint. But I do remember one thing, and that's really pivotal. Because when that man gave me the flower, I had a perception that the room was changing. Suddenly, the whole room got wider and longer. And now I do know, because I already had several experiences like that after my NDE 40 years ago. When you come in touch with other dimensions, your perception of space is changing. I had that in music happen to me sometimes, as if the four walls of the room I was in were folding away or folding back, and I was in some kind of space beyond time and space. And that was the feeling I had when this man gave me the flower. And the flower was a gerbera flower. And I only remember it was kind of reddish, orangish, something like that. And one person asked about the flower, if I took it back to the hotel room and where it went. And the thing is, I only remember receiving the flower, but I don't know where it went afterwards. I don't remember the flower in my hotel room when I was back, carrying it around with me or something like that. I think it was just some kind of symbolic thing, because I received the flower like in the material world. You give something to someone, and of course, if you get a present, you get the feeling, oh, I want to return something. So I was used to returning money in the streets to the guys who sell flowers, and that was more or less the only thing I could think of that I have to give. I thought at that point, that's the only thing I have to give. And I was nearly broke at that moment. I'd been to the bank one day before, and I wore a vest with an inside pocket, and in there I had all my money. One big note and just a few, very few small notes, and I think some coins. And when I got the flower, I felt the urge and the need and the want to return, just some money as some kind of response to give something back. So I reached into this pocket, and I knew insidely, like a truth, I have to take the first note I get into my fingers. And my little ego was thinking, help, if this is the big note, then I'm totally broke and I don't know how to carry on or how to travel on. But I knew I had to do it. Give what was, or at least allow the possibility that I give what was my highest wealth at that moment, my biggest note of money. And I reached in there and I grabbed a note and I draw it out. And luckily, thank God, it was a small note. And I gave this note to the man. But I had at the same moment some kind of different perception, like on another level. It was as if the flower was a present from God given to me, telling me, you're not going to die now. This is the present of life, like the flower of life. And I felt as if I've got my life, or a second life, a second chance, like within this flower, this giving of a flower, like a present. And I felt, now I have to do something good and make something good out of my life, because before I was just living the life everybody expected me, my parents, the society, and whatever. I wasn't really alive. And I thought, now that I got this present, the flower of life, or my life for a second time, to make something good from that, I felt some kind of responsibility, and at the same time, this being gifted. You got a present. Wow, a whole new life as a present. So this was happening on two levels. On one level, it was just a flower and returning some money. On the second level, it was something bigger. And when this guy started toning the Om, the room got even wider and even longer, and then started this life review thing. And I'm not quite sure. I'm thinking differently now about nearly everything because, I think it's an unfolding story that's got some meaning for me, myself, and maybe you can get something out of that as well, or find some inspiration, a new idea, whatever. So in the live review, I was confronted, like I choose the example of the old film boxes where you just draw out the film before you want to develop it. And I was the box, and the film was drawn out of me, like out of my mouth, and I saw it picture for picture. And I thought things that I thought were good, and they were not. They were totally bad. They were wrong. And things I thought I did wrong, they were suddenly good. And I noticed, well, that's a total different perspective. That's not my ego perspective, what I think is good or bad. That was a higher perspective, maybe my soul's perspective, looking onto scenes from my life. And I started to communicate telepathically as if I had never done anything else like that, because I think in that special moments we all have this capacity. It just turned on or switched on, and I was talking to two people that I left in Germany. One was my boyfriend. I more or less, because of this urge to search for the purpose of my life, I left an ongoing relation, and he more or less accepted and said, okay, go to India, find whatever you're seeking, and if you come back, we can carry on. I'm here for you. I love you. You know that, and I'll wait for you. So that was a great gift. And now I stood there thinking, I am dying. My little ego I was thinking I'm dying, although I received with a flower another idea and impression, but my ego I didn't get it. So I started talking to him and apologizing and saying, oh, please don't be sad or sorry. I won't come back. I'm going to die in India. And it's not bad for me. I know that I'm going to reincarnate again until I, whatever, fulfilled my cycles or however this works. So please be happy, be lucky, live your own life, find a new girlfriend. I'm okay with that. I'm sorry that I'm doing this to you, but I just can't help. So I was more or less saying goodbye to him, and I was doing the same with my mother. I was telling her, Mommy, please don't be sad and sorrow, filled up with sorrow because I won't come back and I'm going to die in India. And then, now I know that, it was like a click. That's the point where they got me. Because I knew my mother already lost a child, my brother, when I was 12 and he was 16, dying in a motorcycle accident. And I knew inside of myself, I cannot do this to my mother. She will break if she loses another child. So I knew, well, I have to go back. I have to live on. I cannot do that. I cannot do that even to any other person. So that already gives some other kind of views to the communication with my boyfriend before, because at that point talking with him I thought he can accept that and he can live on, but my mother already was older and she had a lot of difficult things in her life, so I just felt I cannot do that. And as I know now, because I like to watch other remote viewers doing their work, and there is the Farsight Institute. They are private remote viewers, and I really love their work. Just watching some of their projects, you can learn so much about remote viewing and how other dimensions work and function. So they had just, I think maybe some days before now, they had just remote viewed Lao Tzu, my favorite Chinese saint or sage, who is even in the Rosicrucian knowledge, one of the few single persons who managed to escape the so-called matrix, false reality, death trap, however you want to call that. I know now that this is real, and I exactly know the point where they got me. You know, it's compassion. Of course, the divine soul will always feel compassion for another soul and will not want to harm them or do something that would break them. So I know because I saw the project about Lao Tzu, that he was one of the few who escaped the death traps. And that's exactly what they found out by remote viewing him and his story. They remote viewed 2 points in time. One was the time when he wrote his famous book, The Tao Te King. And the second time was when he was dying. And he had more or less similar experiences. He knew about the inner light and he knew that there is a way out. And when he went to the beyond the veil, or however you want to call that, um, or the afterlife, whatever, all words and names we put on things without really getting what it really is. He was confronted with more or less similar things like I was, because you're kind of passing through an alley of all the temptations. You get shown your loved ones, your family, your mother, or your lover, your husband, your wife, whatever, whom you left behind, and you still have an emotional bond with these other beings. So it's really hard if you feel the love and you think, wow, they will miss me and they will be sad and things like that, to stay strong with your inner light and say, no, I'm not going to attach there, like Buddha said. It's about the attachment. If you bind and attach, then you are bond and attached. So I missed that point because I fell for the mother trap. And I know there are some other traps. I know that now. There's also this kind of Abrahamic or fatherly, godfatherly figure that appears maybe more to the end of your alley of temptations. And many people or many souls fall for that because they believe in God or something like that, some idea of a bigger force. And if they are presented with an image, well, it's very hard to not fall for that. So I know the point where they got me. It was my mother. And in the remote viewing project of Farsight, they were also talking about this kind of alley of temptations, with the different temptations like love to other persons, or like the idea of God and things like that. You're confronted with everything. And he stayed more or less strong as long as he could. And then they remote viewed suddenly that he was reminding himself, talking to himself all the time, it's about the inner light. Stay strong. Don't fall for the false light. Don't fall for the traps. Don't walk the wrong path. Take the right path. Things like that. He reminded himself constantly of that, walking through the alley of temptations. And then suddenly they remote viewed him, his consciousness or his soul, in a total different place. It was kind of a technical, futuristic surrounding. And he was suddenly in a totally new, but not small, like a child, a grown-up body, a perfect ready-made body from a grown-up, and this futuristic surrounding to me sounded very much like being on a spaceship, laying on a table and getting your consciousness, which was zapped out from the death trap, put back into maybe the body Lao Tse had, or his oversoul had of him on a spaceship. And as I was shown now, visiting a spaceship, my own body in a stasis enclosure with some kind of liquid in there. I know now, and I have integrated that. I have no big problems with that because I always felt drawn to sci fi and Star Trek, and that feels kind of familiar to me. I know now that I'm the secondary incarnation of my oversoul that has another incarnation on a ship. And as I'm told by the Elohim, that we are multi dimensional beings, so we have on every dimension, we have an aspect living there, even in the parallel worlds, living out other possibilities. So that's a lot to not fry your brain, but I know it's true because I had the experience of being on a ship, seeing this body, and knowing instantly, wow, that's me. So that puts everything into some kind of other place and allows for different views. So I'm viewing my near death experience quite different now, and I'm asking different questions. And I think it's something that happens quite often if you get back to a memory and really start to explore the memory. And with the knowing from now, of course, I do look differently onto that experience and ask different questions. And I'm really thankful for this question some people asked because they already helped me looking different at the whole story and integrating some other aspects I hadn't looked at before and questioning some things and finding different answers. So it's like that. Your whole life is a story unfolding, and we're just trying to understand the bigger picture. I hope I packed into this everything I wanted to share that was not told in the other interviews. And if you have some more questions, I'm open to that because it's a vice versa inspiration, and I like it like that. So thank you very much for listening to me and watching this video. I hope you will find something helpful or useful for yourself in that. Blessings, dear beautiful souls. Thank you. Have a good time and all the best for you. Bye.